Good evening. Welcome to the State of Business on our television with me, Kavish Pereira. Let's take a look at today's headlines. Don't wait for the government to do promotion, says business tycoon Dhammika Pereira. Slim Brand Excellence Awards organizers claim that businesses should gravely focus on brand building and marketing. News in detail. The Japanese Prime Minister's Special Advisor, Dr. Hiroto Izumi, reconfirmed his government's commitment to develop the East Container Terminal at the Colombo South Harbour as a joint venture partnership of Sri Lanka and India at a meeting held with Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe recently. Thus, Prime Minister Wickremesinghe noted that the East Container Terminal of the Colombo South Harbour will remain under the ownership of Sri Lanka, while there will be a joint venture with the partnership of Sri Lanka, India and Japan to manage the terminal, while the Bandaranaike International Airport expansion project will also receive Japanese assistance. Commenting on the light railway transit project, Premier Wickremesinghe said that an LNG terminal will be built in Sri Lanka with the Japanese assistance. Under the Greater Kandy Urban Development Plan, the city of Kandy will be developed with an aim to preserve the landscape and attract tourists in line with the master plan developed for the city of Kyoto, Japan, the Prime Minister Wickremesinghe further added. Commenting on the recent trade delegation to the Scandinavian countries from the National Chamber of Exporters of Sri Lanka, the Secretary General and the Chief Executive Officer of the NCE, Shia Marika, stressed that the delegates were informed about the requirements and the standards of the buyers in the Nordic countries from the delegation.
During our recent trip to the Nordic countries, what we realized was that the buyers there, they don't mind paying the extra dollar, provided the exporters have proper standards. So learning about what kind of standards they want, and we also make requests from Department of Commerce in those countries to talk to our delegates, to give them information on buyers' requirements there. So it's actually a learning experience for the delegates. And many of the delegates who went with us during the last 10 or 15 delegations, they have all secured some sort of order. So our success rate has been very good, and the chamber works very closely after an event on the follow-up program, because follow-up has become a weak area for Sri Lankan exporters, and we work with them very closely.
Secretary General and Chief Executive Officer of the National Chamber of Exporters further updated of its future programs, especially including the Dubai Expo 2020.
The next event planned by the Chamber will be to Korea and also to Taiwan. There has been many requests from our members citing that those markets are good for their products. So we are in touch with the Sri Lankan missions in those countries, and we are hoping to make a trip there during either late August or else first week of November. So this is in the planning process. And then, of course, I would like to mention that the Chamber plays an active role with the Export Development Board in organizing the Sri Lankan Pavilion at the Dubai Expo 2020, which will commence during October 2020, and it is a 6-month event. Sri Lanka will have a large pavilion where many sectors will be invited to display their products and services. And also we are planning on having our own mini Sri Lankan solo exhibition during that time frame. So still we are in the planning process, and once more information is ready, we'll be sharing it with the business community.
Known Sri Lankan business tycoon Dhammika Pereira suggested the private sector must do their own campaigns without waiting for the tourism board to do the public relation and advertising campaigns. He made these remarks at a seminar held last week on the 22nd of June at the BMICH on the theme Integrated Recovery Strategies for Tourism Development in Sri Lanka. Actions speak louder than words. The seminar was organized by the Alumni Association of the Tourism Economics and Hospitality Management and the students of the Tourism Study Programs of the Department of Economics, University of Colombo, International Tourism Research Conference, Industry and Research Forum in parallel to Sanchara Kudava, partnering with the Sri Lanka Association of Inbound Tour Operators together with the Sri Lanka Tourism. Speaking at the seminar, business tycoon Dhammika Pereira said that arrivals had increased from around 500 a day in April to about 2,000 a day. He also added a lot's need to be done, especially on promotions and security side, to give confidence to the world that Sri Lanka is now back to normal, stressing that private sector must go for its own promotion campaign. Meanwhile, non-cabinet Minister of Economic Reforms and Public Distribution Dr. Harsha De Silva noted that around 170 billion rupees had already been given by way of moratorium so far under the relief package introduced for the tourism sector. Speaking at the same event, Hapu's Hotels, Cafes and Restaurants Chief Executive Officer Hapu Gunaratna highlighted certain security arrangements in the Colombo city and said that parking is still not allowed near a number of tourist attractions. Keep tuning in for more news after this short commercial break. Welcome back. The 9th biannual Committee of Senior Officials of the Indian Committee Rim Association was held in Durban, South Africa from the 19th to the 20th of this month. Speaking at the inaugural session, Sri Lanka's Head of Delegation, Director of Economic Affairs of the Foreign Affairs Ministry, Cesar Thambugala, appreciated the stewardship of South Africa since 2017 as the chair of IORA and expressed sheer interest to work with the UAE during its upcoming chairmanship, with a view to further deepening the focus on IORA as a growth pole in the world. Moreover, the Sri Lanka delegation informed the meeting that as the lead coordinator of the Maritime Safety and Security Pillar, Sri Lanka will be hosting the first working group on maritime safety and security on the 8th and 9th August 2019 in Colombo, which will be partly funded by IORA Special Fund and United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime. The delegation further updated the CSO that Sri Lanka successfully held the Track 1.5 conference Indian Ocean Defining Our Future in October 2018 in Colombo, Sri Lanka. Building on the success of the first conference, Sri Lanka is prepared to host Track 1 conference Indian Ocean Defining Our Future during the latter half of 2019, for which all IORA members would be invited. Meanwhile, the Slim President Ranjit Suarez stresses that there is a dip in the export brands and that Sri Lanka lacks attractive global brands. The Slim President is also in the view that small and medium-sized enterprises should come to the forefront via creating attractive brands since they account for a greater percentage in the GPA. These statements were made by the Slim President at the launch of the Slim Brand Excellence Awards 2019, which was organized by the Sri Lanka Institute of Marketing for the 18th consecutive year.
Sri Lanka needs exports brands. So rather exporting commodity, we need to add value and develop export brands. So until today still, we can see that Dilma is the global brand that we have produced. So apart from that, we are still yet to develop any global brand. So country needs to develop brands to go to global. We felt that our SME sector generate a lot of GDP to the country. So we felt that that is the sector we need to support, the SME, and we launched SME Brand of the Year. So we have seen that throughout the last 3 years, tremendous support from the motivation from the SME sector. In last year in particular, we got more than 50 entries for this competition. That's what we want. We need the industry, the exporters, SMEs. Apart from the established brand, top-end brands, these brands has to come to this process and try to measure, try to see where they are in the branding exercise.
Furthermore, Head of Jury of Slim Brand Excellence Awards 2019, Thilam Wijayasekar, emphasizes that marketers in Sri Lanka should develop a proper marketing propaganda and that marketing should deliver return of investments in order to uplift the economy.
I myself have seen conducting many brand workshops, some of our colleagues conducting many brand workshops as well. Very few Sri Lankan organizations, very few local organizations especially, even conduct a proper marketing plan or develop a proper brand plan in their organizations. And that's a very sad state of affairs. And for far too long in the boardrooms and in the financial fraternity, it has been thought that marketers are real communications guys and they are spenders. Marketers today cannot be spenders and hold their jobs. Marketers are supposed to deliver ROI. As they're supposed to deliver. So when marketers today get a budget, it is supposed to be thought of as an investment, not as an expenditure as thought in the past. And that's a very important aspect to take the marketing fraternity forward.
Meanwhile, reiterating on the need to revamp the startups or small and medium-sized enterprises in Sri Lanka, founder and executive advisor of Sri Lanka Innovation Forum for Entrepreneurship, Dr. Amila Kankanamge, explained how life cooperates in linking local startups with foreign investors. Furthermore, speaking exclusively to our television, Dr. Kankanamge also added that Life participates at the Unbound, the largest startup festival in Asia, in order to provide local entrepreneurs the foreign exposure related to business and financial systems.
So for the last year, we have been working with a few partners, global partners like Unbound, so which is happening this June 27th in Singapore. Unbound is named the largest startup festival in Asia. So Life is a community partner for the Unbound festival. So we are taking a delegation from Sri Lanka to participate and see the exhibitors as well as the forum there. So we can get exposure as local startups with giants like Microsoft, Facebook, and then the Singaporean government. All these big players will be in Singapore for this startup summit. So we are, as Life, we are taking a delegation from Sri Lanka, and there will be Sri Lankan speakers speaking at this event as well. So I think that's a marvelous and a tremendous achievement that Life has achieved for the last 1 year.
Stay tuned for stock updates after this short commercial break. Welcome back. Trading at the Colombo Stock Exchange ended on a mixed note today. The All-Share Price Index dropped 8.97 points to close at 5,354.53, and the S&P SL 20 gained 0.64 points to close at 2,489.62. The turnover was 261.4 million rupees, with 54 stocks gaining and 59 stocks declining. Next up is Forex rates. Well, that's a wrap of the bulletin for the day, signing off with a promise for tomorrow at the same time with nothing but the latest. Thank you and good night.